Yeah. Well, boy, I gotta bite him too? Hi, everybody. It's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch in Far West, Texas. Actually, the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center. Thank you. In Far West, Texas. I have, as you can see, Sherman the one-eyed toothless dog with me, and of course, the boss of the world, who's down here groveling, Cascade the Wonder Dog. They're here to help me shoot the, thank you, Sherman. They're here to help me shoot the vlog for September, is it 8th? It's Sunday. Anyway, I think it's 8th, September 8th, Sunday, 2018. And I got some things to show you, plus I am fresh off the trip to go get 200K, the new used truck from Fort Worth. So let me tell you about that, but soon but first, let me put these two Wonder Dogs away. So I've said it 6 times already at least. The trip to get 200K was totally uneventful. It wasn't even worth filming. I started to film it and all I did was drive a vehicle back here. So nothing to say there. The creek, we did have so much rain here that the water was running through Terlingua Creek. Now to get to our house the easiest way, you've got to go through 2 creek crossings. The first one, heavy thick gravel, has been put there by the mining company that has a mine about 5 miles further down the road. That crossing, as long as you don't get swept away by the running water, you won't lose traction or get stuck in the mud. And the water was about that deep. I drove right through it. The second crossing is our crossing. That was muddy on both edges, so I couldn't have got down and back up, plus the water was about 7 inches deep and flowing. So I left 200K on the other side there. And I'm back to work. It's as usual, it's a work day. Now, I'm thinking every time I do anything around here, it's not like I say, oh, I'm going to build a cabinet and I can sit down and totally concentrate on a cabinet. I have to think of the whole project and everything we're doing, and every time I make a cut in a piece of wood, I have to think about where that scrap is going. So I wanted to show you something. I'll move the camera over here, but I've got a little area here that we're going to fill in with shiplap. And it needed a piece of 2x4, 1.5 thick by roughly 1.5 thick. So what I did to get the thickness that I wanted was I shaved off 1/4-inch pieces. Now why 1/4-inch pieces? Well, if any of you have done any remodeling in an older home, is that starting to look a little familiar? What is that? Of course, that's old-fashioned lathing for plaster and lath, horsehair plaster and lath. Now that's a lost art. Nobody does it anymore. I have never done it, but I've studied and studied and studied thanks to YouTube and the internet. You can watch pornography, you can see a kitten in a teacup, or you can actually learn something to improve your life on YouTube. Your choice. So anyway, every time I have a piece of wood that needs trimming or a piece that's kind of warped and twisted, 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, 2x anything, I slice them down into these pieces, and I have got enough stored up in a box in the guest bathroom to do probably 500 square feet of plastering. And I don't know how much we're doing, but we're doing like 6 walls in the total building that'll have to be done this way. So, thinking ahead, 1 or 2 projects, I cut this up. Now I got the lumber that I needed, of course, for what I'll show you in a minute. And I also took pallet wood, and I believe I've showed this, I'm not sure because I'm still a little groggy from the trip. But I took pallet wood, and I shiplapped the pallet wood. You can see the edge right down here. Using that new router, I'm so thankful for that router. I used that new router to shiplap it, cut it into 11.5-inch pieces because each piece is slightly different in width. So I'm going to have to place one, cut it, place one, and cut it. And of course it's shiplapped, so it's going to go like this. That piece up, then this one overlaps it just a little bit and tips in. Overlaps, and that's where you get your shiplap from. So I'll show you what I'm doing there, and let's see. Oh, before I get into anything and lose the interest of you guys that stopped by because a keyword brought you, hey, we are getting ready out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Center. By the way, the wind came up. We're going to hear We're going to hear if our Cascade hair fix on the microphone did anything with this, because the wind's coming this way. Anyway, out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center, it's been too hot all summer to do any masonry. Now you can do masonry, but you have to keep spraying it down with water, and we couldn't spare the water because we've only had, up until this rainstorm, the last few days, we only had 3.5 inches of rain all year from January to September. I don't know what we got. My guess from what I can see is we probably only got about 2 inches more, so still we're in a drought, but we're full of water here. Anyway, we are about ready to kick off finishing all the walls on the house. We're going to pull the travel trailer out as soon as somebody gets here with a vehicle capable of pulling it out. Pulling the travel trailer out, we're going to finish the walls on the main house. We're going to start the walls in the garage. We're going to do the processing room. We're going to do the greenhouse. And for that, I'm going to tell the story, thank you. I'm going to count on work exchange guests or volunteers that want to learn or want to help to come out here. We've got vacancies if you're self-contained, if you want a tent camp, if you've got a camper, if you've got an RV, we've got plenty of time. You do need to call me, but you don't have to have a reservation in advance. Just you show up, we work, I feed you, give you a couple of beers, we have a good time, you learn something, and you help Debbie and I, because this is getting, this project was started in '02 when I was a young man, and all of a sudden I look in the mirror and I'm an old guy. So we have to finish it before I'm a dead guy. Any of you are welcome to come out here. Email me, write me through the comments, give me your email address, a way of contacting you. We'll talk about setting you up on a work exchange visit where you can learn something. We're getting enough notice now that you can come away and say, hey, I spent 2 weeks at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center to learn this stuff, and people will say, oh, that guy, okay. So, contact me. We could use you, we want you, and as always, I'm going to tell the story, Eric. As always, we can use donations of Portland, beer, money, anything you want. Use the donate button or just load up your car with Portland up at McCoy's in Alpine and come on down here. Let's get to work and let's have a good time. I've got 1 million board games, including Risk, Old Risk. I've got Old Keyword, if any of you know what Keyword is, from back in the 40s and 50s. And Life, and you name it, I've got a bunch of board games, plus you got a lot of quiet time with the TV. So, let me show you what else we're doing around here besides cutting wood lathing. This I did before my trip. Let me show you from behind the camera. We are about to evict these ducks. Look at the horrible mess they've made in the guest bedroom. We got to get all my stuff out, clean it up from the nasty duck feet, dry it up, and then start working on this. But before I do that, this is the door that I built out of pallet wood for the guest bathroom. And it's hung and it's finished. They've trashed it, but I polyed it real good, so it's got to be cleaned. But here's an area right here that I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with it. And then it came to me watching an episode of Fixer Upper with that idiot that loves to crash through walls and destroy perfectly good kitchens that could be donated to Habitat for Humanity. Instead of doing stupid theater for a Fixer Upper show. They love their shiplap. Shiplap, shiplap, shiplap. Oh, shiplap, shiplap. So, what I've done is I've put a riser here and a riser here so I can put my shiplap pieces in. I have to cut the width a little bit, and then when I'm done, I'm either going to sand or take the planer and make all the edges smooth, do a little bit of filling, and I'm going to stain this whole frame. Let's go up the frame. I have to fill it with wood filler as well. Sand it down nicely, and then I've got to stain the whole thing, poly the whole thing. I will have to mortise for my hinges in here. The hinges go on this here, mortise for that. And then we hang the big giant jumbo door. The door that somebody said would stop a Sherman tank. Anyway, we'll have that in. And so let me get that done and show you step by step, or when all the steps are done, what we're doing. Hi, hey, I have to apologize. I have been so busy and things have been so hectic, so much going on, trying to schedule work exchange guests, volunteers, and so much else that I completely forgot where this video was, vlog was going. See, I can't even think right now. Anyway, I had everything finished, and I forgot to show you the finished door and shiplap. So I'm going to get behind the camera here and kind of cut this in so that at least you get to see that. And I apologize. The videos I'm going to do from here on out should be a little better organized, but we were really busy getting everything together for the arrival of the new truck and. So here, let me get behind the camera and show you the finished shiplap and the door hung. Well, first of all, there's the door. It's done. And you can see the transom up above. You can see it hung. It works great. Now let's walk a little closer to it rather than cut this. I still have to clean the glue off of the windows here. Now, remember that the windows I had put epoxy on the windows because there were a couple of cracks. And so I have to figure out how to clean that off. I think I'm just going to use acetone, which I don't have. Now, first of all, I have gone around the frame, including the transom frame. Put that wood up. It was up in the beginning of this, and I stained it. I did have to do some hustling around in here to trim. Right there, you can see I made a mess out of that, but I'll fix that. And the door didn't want to fit real good. I am, you know, I am a kind of I'm not a beginner carpenter, and I'm far from an expert. So I make mistakes, and I have to fill these in. I don't know if I'm going to do Dutchman's or what, but I have to fill in right there around the hinges. But the door does close nicely. Now, here's the shiplap I was talking about. Let's just run down with the shiplap. There's my shiplap. And then move over here. I cleaned the door. I see I have to clean it again, but we cleaned the door really, really good. Or I cleaned it. Debbie said I let the ducks dirty and I got to clean it. So this wall is finished, as is this wall. I just have a piece of art that we're hanging on this wall. So when you come in the guest wing, you're going to step through here. There'll be tile there. You'll see that with a piece of artwork. And then up there, those lights will be not on all the time, but enough of the time. Okay, let me cut this in. Well, I'm still shooting this rather disjointed vlog. It's now September 20th, so I think I said the date a week and a half earlier. Not sure what went on in the first part, of course, because I'm a pinhead, but we'll continue on. First of all, after hanging the door into the guest bedroom, that gigantic door, of course, all the chickens and ducks that were trying to live in there have been evicted. It has been a chicken and duck mess. They have been everywhere, trying to lay eggs, complaining. I'll tell you what. They didn't enjoy it, but I do. The door is up and the room is dried out finally from all the ducks splashing water, so Debbie and I are ready to start working. Now, what I'm doing here ties into what I just said. The way that I have to start in the guest bedroom is I have to clear all my stuff out of there, my tools and supplies that I was trying to keep clean, but the ducks messed up. Then I have to pour part of the concrete floor. Then I have to do the rock veneer on the original building here behind me. So there's going to be a rock veneer on that wall going up, just like I've veneered on the inside of the dog's building. Now, in order to do that, I had to get the HVAC line out of the way, which is the radiator line, the hot water. In this case, we're heating the house with hot water. I had to get the hot water line out of the way, which is why I'm sitting here on the ground. The hot water line had come out there next to the door. It came through the building, so that's zone 1. Came in, guest bedroom, guest bathroom, then it was going to come out and go into the living room. So I had to dig a trench and bury that, which I've done, and insulated it with great stuff. I put it in an 1.5 inch PVC pipe, drilled holes in the pipe first, put it in, and then just shot the great stuff in the holes, and they filled it right up and insulated it so that the water will not lose much heat going into the end of the zone. So as I'm leveling that out, now I am going to, or now the next step is going to be to lay the flagstones in the patio, at least in this little triangle here between the door and the part of the wall I've been working on. Now that's where I ran into an issue that a lot of you know, a lot of people that do videos like this don't tell you their mistakes. You just see their success. And you don't know if they tried 99 times and that was take 100 or whatever. But I like to tell you my mistakes for two reasons. Number one, so that you can learn from them. And number two, so you can see that, you know, I'm human and I make mistakes, and just like you do. And so if I can do all of this stuff, so can you. That's the big reason. So here's the error I made. When I laid the plumbing into the guest bathroom, right here where I'm sitting, there was a, and I don't know where it came from, I can't remember, it's been 4 years at least. There was a break in the line, now, or a leak in the gray water line. So rather than dig the whole thing up and find it, because it's rough for me to dig at this age, what I did was I used a simple fix. I just took right underneath there, put a little piece of, in this case, a feed bag, and poured a, when there was no water in the line, poured a concrete, you know, concrete over it. The concrete hardened, no more leak, because it's not under pressure. It's just passing the gray water on out, and it is gray water after all. Even if it was leaking, it would go straight down. No sign of a leak. But when I poured the concrete, I made a big hump here, and that's where I created an issue. The guest bedroom's floor is purposely up, and it's up about 3.5 inches from the level that this floor is going to be. The floor in the rest of the house, when I initially poured it, everything has to match. So the floor in the rest of the house, I think, let's see, I think you can see that concrete footing there. You can see there's not a whole heck of a lot of room, and then it kind of slopes up. Now that's the years of the chickens and everything that have done that. So it slopes up, so I've got to remove all that excess, but this slab came up, and this slab, when it was poured, it was 1/4 inch higher than where the flagstones have to end up over there. So I had to chip this away, or do away with part of it. And I have to be careful because I don't want to break the black water line. There's nothing wrong with the black water line, it's under here. And I don't want to break that crack in the gray water line. So I chipped away what I could, and as I got down here, and this is why that whole thing's led up to this, you've got a slab like this and you don't want to do any damage, so what do? Well, I took my grinder and I cut lines like this. Yes, I should have the respirator on, but I'm just showing you. So I cut these lines the very same way that you would try to cut out a mortise. You would take in a piece of lumber. You would have that piece of lumber and you'd run your circular saw in little 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch lines, and then you'd take your wood chisel. And so that's what I was doing when this started. And you can see right here, those little chips that are popping out, they're from that line that I cut. Now that line is only, I don't even think this line is a 1/4 inch. So I've been going a 1/4 inch at a time. It's takes a lot of time, and it was totally unnecessary because had I known what I was going to do here, I would never have done this repair. So I've got probably, I'll have 4 hours of unnecessary work in getting this done. But when I get it done, then I'm ready to put the flagstones out, and that'll be the next step. Not sure where the vlog's going from here, but I'm going to get back to this, and we'll figure out where we're going in a little bit. Well, I think the next thing I'll show you in this vlog is the Frankenbirds. I haven't talked about them in a while. In fact, I haven't talked about the book for a while. Well, there's not going to be much I can do with the book. I won't even finish writing it until the end of November, and I'll have it published early December so that we'll have it available for Christmas gift giving. Hello. But the Frankenbirds, 3 weeks old today. And I wanted to weigh them on their 3-week anniversary. Now, according to the chart that I have from one of the universities, and remember, the chickens don't read those charts, but according to the chart, they were supposed to weigh approximately 1 pound, 5 ounces, 5 or 6 ounces, 1 pound, 5 or 6 ounces. Now, I weighed 6 of them just now, and I came up with an average weight of 1 pound 9 ounces. So I'm a little bit above, and I don't know why. I'm surprised. They are gaining a little bit more than they should. And also, if you, I know it's a distance to look here. Let me see if I can snag one. They've also made the change from being cute little chicks to being ugly-ass Frankenbirds. Now, when I say ugly-ass Frankenbirds, see the lack of feathers on his breast? That's one of the trademarks of Frankenbirds. Also, see that big old butt there sticking out? Whoops, now you can. See that big old butt sticking out? And look at his crop. Look at his crop. That's the trademark of the Frankenbirds, and in fact, I'm saying this looks like a hen. So, and it's surprisingly heavy. Like I say, about 1 pound 9 ounces is where we are. So, they're making the transition to being just an ugly, nasty bird. A couple of them were trying to perch, which typically they don't do. They just do the 3 things. They eat, crap, and drink. So, thought you'd get a kick out of them. And I'm going to take this off, because while I'm in here, this is our last duck hen with her babies. She has 7 of them. And we like to, if we can, we like to put them in the nursery here. And this little mother is really good. She's very protective of them, doing a really fine job of it. So I just thought I'd show you guys that, and we're going to see where the experiment goes for the book. I am going to carry the Frankenbirds. I think I had said in an earlier video we were going to carry them to 8 weeks. We're going to carry the Frankenbirds to 12. And there'll be more on that as we come up. Now, if I think of one more thing, I'll show you that, and then we'll end this vlog for this 2 weeks, as it turns out. Well, why don't we end the vlog right here? That's a good place. I managed to chip away everything. I've got this down now to a little, right at 2 inches below where we need to be for the threshold of the rest of the floors. So I'll be able to build up on that real nicely here, and then I'll be. I'm looking at the door. The camera's in the door, right? Here you are. Hi, guys. And I'll be able to build up that. Now, what I've got ahead of me is probably a good day and a half's worth of digging, where I have to move all this dirt out of this area here. This, as I said earlier, the triangle. We'll move that out, and then I do have to make a trip down to, down to my rock fall, where I got all those rocks a couple of years ago. It slid a little bit more, and it slid 2 great big slabs. One's probably 600 pounds, and the other one's probably 200. They're good flat slabs, and I want to collect them if I can and bring them here. I've got places here to put them, and then I'm going to fill in the rest with flagstones and then make the switch to cobblestones. So if somebody's coming down this way in the next, well, weekend's coming up. If somebody's coming down this way over the weekend and you feel super strong, come on and give me a hand picking those two slabs up. And until then, and until something else happens, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center. As I said, in Far West Texas, saying, see you later.